One of my favorite authors is Henry Nouwen. And one of the things that I love about Henry Nouwen is that he seems to be able to skip through all of the pomp. A guy who was at the top of his game working at Harvard as a theologian and left it all in order that he could work in a community for the disabled. His story is incredible. But one of the things that he says, and I think it's really something that he learned in the course of his life, he said that our temptation as the church or as Christians is to be relevant, spectacular, and powerful. The very things that the consumer culture prizes. I see that. I see that in churches. I see that in our own thinking. Oftentimes, as Christians, we tend to assume that bigger churches are better churches, that bigger budgets are better budgets. We tend to think that bigger is always better, that the more spectacular something can be or more relevant something is, the better it is, because people will want to consume it. But he goes on to say, Jesus calls us to be vulnerable, hidden, and powerless in the eyes of the world, so that our lives can point to God's love and not our own importance. That's a real challenging statement. That's a real challenging reminder for us that God does not measure our success in the same way that the world around us does. And yet we're so impacted and so influenced by this culture that we live in. And, of course we are, that sometimes we forget that the things of God are not measured in the same way as the things of the culture around us. And so we have to do a very good job. We have to be very, very diligent to make sure that we're always asking ourselves how we are choosing to measure our uh, our faithfulness and our, for lack of a better term, success. Because God may not be measuring it in the same way that we are. And that's something that we should always be thinking about.